Hi there, this is a casting leaks speculation update for House of the Dragon Season 2, though this is one of the ones we feel really confident about, that Marilda of Hull will be played by actress Martina Laird. I say we're really confident about it. We've known this for a couple of weeks, actually, since first week of May. I was going to report on it, but then Season 2 filming started up and got lost in the shuffle. Then again, there were some rumors about what Marilda is doing in Caesaria's filming, of all things, which overlap with this, so I'll get to that. Who is this person? Well, if you're unfamiliar with the books, the week before we noticed her, like late April, they announced that Abu Bakr Salim will be playing Alan of Hull. This is his mother, Marilda. And in the books, she actually has two sons, Adam and Alan. And the idea is because Rhaenyra's faction has more dragons than they do riders, because they have the breeding grounds on Dragonstone Island. They go, well, all the legitimate Targaryens have dragons. Rhaena has a new egg, but there's 6 unclaimed ones. We need a lot more potential riders. You need Valyrian blood to bond with them. They put out an open call for, well, okay, anyone who thinks they're illegitimate Targaryens, if you think you're a Targaryen bastard or the grandson of a Targaryen bastard, and you look Valyrian, try your luck at bonding with one, and 4 succeed after, dozens die. And they're called the Dragon Seeds because they're born of Dragon Seed. So Marilda comes forward and says, my 2 sons are, Valyrian bastards, and Adam succeeds in bonding with one. Alan, meanwhile, he's young in this time period, but he goes on to be a really important admiral in the next sequel era. And we don't know if they're condensing this or not. I've talked about this in other videos about when they said Alan, that, well, he's like a teenager. He shouldn't be this old as Salim is. We don't know what they're doing with that, but whatever the case, that the mother would probably appear in this in some capacity, Marilda. It's interesting because she's not a noblewoman, but she's a very well-to-do commoner, that she's owns her own merchant fleet. So she's rather well-to-do. That she's from Driftmark. Her father was a wealthy shipwright. If you own a ship construction business, you're pretty well-to-do. But she herself didn't like building ships. She liked sailing them, so after her father died, she inherited it. She sold it off and used the money to buy a fleet of ships. She already had one ship. She bought a fleet. So she has her own tiny private fleet of 7 merchant ships, which is, I wouldn't say it's a regional power compared to, like, the warships of the Royal Navy, but she runs a merchant shipping business, and she's relatively well-to-do and socially respectable in the grand scheme. We don't really see that many merchants in towns and stuff who are recurring characters, like Tabo Mott, the blacksmith, like a few, but we either deal with nobles or the commoners that Arya runs into, not recurring, well-to-do, non-noble people. But whatever the case, Marilda is in this. And how did we find out she'd been cast? We used the Instagram follows method. That when a lot of people start following someone, it overlaps. And I'm usually not the first person to notice this. It's all the really great reporters out there, like, shout out to Realm of the Dragon, formerly House of the Dragon Greek, House of the Dragon Croatia, the Brazilian channel House of the Dragon, and many more. We've been doing this since Season 1, where we're trying to figure out, okay, everyone's following these other people. We figured out Millie Alcock and Emily Carey joined the cast, based on, why are so many people starting to follow you? Well, in the case of Martina Laird, someone noticed that she started being followed by... We noticed that, Michelle Bernard is the brothel madam from Season 1 that talks to Aemon and Kristen, and she follows a lot of people. And then you go, when you click, only after you click follow on Instagram does it show, wait a minute, they're following all these other people we know. So it came through that, and then when people clicked on follow Martina Laird, they went, wow, in rapid succession, she just started being followed by Bethany Antonia, who is the Bela actress. Steve Toussaint is now following her, who is, Corlys. And even more than that, director Claire Kilner. That even more than the primary characters, if, like, Olivia Cook or Steve Toussaint start following you, maybe it's social. when one of the directors starts following you, that for us, that's a lock that they have joined the cast. That Claire Kilner is following this person. Even then, I've said it's a two-step process where you first have, did they join the cast, or is this just coincidence? Sometimes people are following them because they're like a background guard everyone thinks is really funny on set. So it's a question of, first, have they joined the cast, and second, who are they playing? In this case, in terms of physical description, narrows it down because, as I've joked before, white male 20s to 30s, there's a lot of those because Westeros, they're soldiers and armies. And the fringes of the bell curve are when it's something we can narrow down a bit, like a particularly young girl, like teenage girls. We could tell there's only so many roles Millie Alcock and Emily Carey could be playing. Even then I guessed, well, maybe it's like Black Alley Blackwood or something. That I didn't realize, this is like way back in early 2021, that, oh, cool, they're going to have 5 episodes, half of the season with the younger characters. We thought they'd be like 2-scene flashbacks. We were pleasantly surprised. But that we could tell they're playing someone important, because there's only, you could count on one hand the major teenaged female roles. Or, ethnicity, there's mostly white people in Westeros, occasionally Dornish, but okay, if they're black, they're probably playing some sort of Velaryon. Even then, sometimes people turned out to be Velaryon Guard number 2 who has a speaking line, or the endless minor Velaryon cousins, thanks to George R.R. Martin. It was a nightmare putting that family tree together from Fire and Blood, because he didn't really think it out too well. And then there's five younger cousins of Vaemond who agreed with him, and so forth. So Marilda is probably from Driftmark, from the social orbit of the Velaryons. And this all fit together, of the people she's friended, that it's probably not someone from the Riverlands. That we think that's what's going on here. But more so than like when we're randomly guessing, that there were a couple of candidates. It's black woman age 50, probably Marilda of Hull. And she's an interesting character. Like I said, that she's this well-to-do, I have a private... She's not a pirate, she owns a merchant fleet. And we will be dealing with her for a while because, minor spoilers, she lives through the whole story. And into the next sequel, the immediate sequel, the Regency era, we'll be dealing with this actress for 10 years. So she'll be around this on the not the biggest role, but a recurring role for a long time. Doesn't get killed off in episode 2. So having established that this is probably Marilda, the one thing is that they seem to have established that people on Driftmark have a lot of Summer Islander ethnicity to them. That's interesting to me, because, and it's entirely plausible, because like it's on the major shipping lanes, and the Summer Islanders are in every port. So you want to say that, well, in the TV version, her family must have intermarried with a lot of Summer Islanders, so she looks black. Fine. That was also the reasoning we had as a fan explanation for the Velaryons, that the books do say that the low-ranking Valyrians who went out to the provinces outside the capital, because they weren't dragon lords, they were low on the social hierarchy, they weren't as strict about blood purity, so they would tend to intermingle with the locals more. That is a detail from the books. The Velaryons happen to be white in the books, but I think it's a plausible switch, and one I would have done just to show, oh yeah, that's a thing. Like, as with any historical empire, like out on the fringes, like, I think, like I've said this before, that like Blackwater Bay is basically like their Caribbean compared to Valyria. That Driftmark, this overseas trade post at the fringe of the Valyrian Empire, is to the capital city of Valyria as like Haiti was to France, or Jamaica to Britain. It's their Caribbean. It's their Puerto Rico to Spain or something. So, okay, that works out for me. I'm fine. There is another race swap. Well, they swapped the Velaryons, then they swapped Marilda too. And Alan looks very black. He doesn't look very mixed race, the actor that they hired for him. Because I had assumed that Marilda would be white, to show that, okay, because Rhaenyra's children don't look like Laenor, blatantly, that they'd cast someone who looks like they could be mixed race with this is a Velaryon Targaryen bastard with someone else. I don't want to go into details of the boy's parentage, that'll come up, but it's interesting this way that he doesn't look like, it really looks like, okay, they're Adam and Alan are Velaryon bastards. They claim to be Velaryon bastards, not Targaryen bastards. So it kind of makes sense that they don't look mixed race. That if their mother is also black, they look. This gets into the color spectrum stuff. Fine. The thing I'm really worried about is they haven't told us if Adam of Hull is in the show or not. I really don't want them to get into the characters. That's the thing I care about more than the race stuff. But I think it's interesting. This is like our Caribbean. It's this melting pot crossroads of the world because it's a major trade hub. So that's what's going on with Marilda. She has her own fleet. Sorry I'm rambling like that. I'm doing this off the cuff and I don't have time to edit this. I'm sorry. There's so much news coming out. Let me talk about actress Martina Laird. I looked her profile up briefly. Mostly a stage actress. Trained stage actress, which is great because I've complained about this before, that Game of Thrones was pandering the lead actors mugging for the camera with tight close-ups, whereas theater acting can't have tight close-ups. You act with your voice, your performance, your body language. It's real acting. Most of the major roles in House of the Dragon were really more theater actors than they were film actors. Emma Darcy, Rhaenys Targaryen, also, that they were going for stage actors whenever possible. There's a smile on my face when they do that. Martina Laird was, I keep making all these Caribbean comparisons because Martina Laird is from the Caribbean. She was born in Trinidad, got into acting there, moved to England when she was 17, and attended University of Kent at Canterbury and Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. So very well trained. You might recognize her from a few TV roles. She's done Casualty, she's done EastEnders. The picture I'm using for this video that she posted on Instagram is very recently she appeared in the live-action Little Mermaid. I haven't seen that. I haven't been able to go to the movies in general lately, but I still haven't seen Guardians. But her character's named Lashana. From her dress, is she one of the castle servants or something? I don't know, but had a role in live-action Little Mermaid. But she's best known as a classically trained Shakespearean actress that it says here that since 2016, she has done Taming of the Shrew, Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, The Tempest, Henry IV, Coriolanus, All's Well That Ends Well. And earlier than that, she has done work with the Royal Shakespeare Society in the mid-90s, when she was in her 20s. That says here that she did Troilus and Cressida with the Royal Shakespeare Company. So a very well-trained stage actor. I'm really happy about that. Here's where we get into the rumors. We heard rumors, and this isn't just me, these have been circulating on Twitter for a while through the legitimate, respected spy channels. So there's more than one source saying this. There's rumors that during the Caceres filming, there's a point where there's this mysterious hooded woman at a docks set, a ship dock set. Now, granted, they don't have a coast in Caceres like that, but it's like when you see, I showed a clip before of Tyrion and Joffrey at the food riots are supposed to be like right outside of the riverfront because they rounded the corner. That you can say this is a warehouse on the dock without actually having to show the water, right? So there's some scene that there isn't actually water there, but it's supposed to be like right around the corner from the ship dock. Or they've just arrived from there and they're heading to Flea Bottom or something, but involving someone from a ship who's going in the city at night in this woman who's hidden under a hood. And the running theory is, and it's blurry, but they say that there's this hooded woman who's smuggling food into the city. Now, my last video, I talked about how we got these rumors that they're going to have food riots in Season 2. Expanding on, this wasn't quite in the books, but they're expanding on that. That the blockade, the Velaryon blockade, is really starting to put the crunch on them. And we heard these rumors that when they go on this funeral procession for propaganda purposes throughout the city, the Greens, the rich parts of the city are cheering them and throwing flower petals at them. When they get to the poor parts, like Flea Bottom, like the poorest people during a food crunch, the poorest there's hyperinflation, the price of food is skyrocketing. The poorest people are always the first to suffer when there's higher food prices due to shortages. So Flea Bottom is really suffering during this, and they don't care about the war losses and stuff. What they care about is we are starving, and we blame you for not ending this blockade. Launching from that, we heard that some people are managing to smuggle food through the blockade to get to the poor. Two possibilities there. One is that, okay, as with any siege, there's some blockade runners. Second is, and this is yet another rumor layered on that Rhaenyra's side has co-opted the smugglers to intentionally send food shipments to Flea Bottom. Which makes sense. If you think that, look, there's always going to be smugglers, the best thing to do is hire them and go, look, we know you're going to sneak past, we'll pay you. If you smuggle food in, it'll only go to the rich people from the green side who don't like us. We will pay you to smuggle stuff in if you give it directly to the poor parts of the city who would starve otherwise, to win over their loyalty. Now, obviously, this is all a bunch of fan speculation, but it fits really well. So, like I kept mentioning, Marilda has her own merchant fleet. She has 7 ships. If there's a need for a blockade runner character, a great way to introduce it was to go, Marilda's from Driftmark. She's a private shipping concern. I'll smuggle food into Flea Bottom for you. I don't know how that works exactly, because there's only so many ships coming into the docks the Greens would notice. Maybe you pay off the dock people. I mean, maybe you pretend to have no food, then you sneak it in at night. Whatever. But that they're using ships to sneak food in, to play the propaganda angle or whatever, I'm fine with that. And that this might be the way they introduce Marilda. And then at the end, this would be by like episode 2 or 3. This would be episode 3 with the blockade. And then by like episode 6 or 7, they'd have Marilda come back and go, I actually have 2 bastard sons who are Velaryon bastards who could claim a dragon. So that's how we think they're working Marilda into this. And quite separately, in a separate video, I remarked on how we don't know what it means that Emma Darcy has come to Caceres, where they're filming King's Landing. And some people are launching into, oh, there's going to be, King's Landing's going to fall to Rhaenyra this season or something, and it's like, as others have thankfully pointed out in comments, no one else is there. Matt Smith isn't there, who would be in such a scene, or other dragon seeds who'd be there for the fall of the city or something. Like, literally just Emma, and none of her generals or entourage or Corlys. Steve DeSaint isn't there. He would be there for if they're taking the city or something. So it's just Emma. The theory is, and this is just theory, and I'm not trying to make clickbait, just the theory is, what if they, have Rhaenyra go with Marilda on, a smuggling thing, just to have her face seen around by the people of Flea Bottom at night while they're making a food drop as a PR thing? And this might be all of 30 seconds, might be like a 60-second clip, not like an invented subplot, and this is speculation upon speculation. There's multiple stages to this. First, just that we got the sense that some people are running the blockade. Maybe Marilda's a blockade runner. On top of that, maybe Rhaenyra accompanies her once for all of a 60-second scene as basically a cameo to be nice to Emma, to give her an excuse, to give them an excuse to go to Caceres in season 2, just to so they can party with everyone else when they're there. That's the theory anyway, because otherwise Rhaenyra wouldn't come back there. We don't know. That would be an explanation for why is Emma in Caceres? We're not sure. So I'm sorry I didn't have time to edit this. I am dashing it off audio only. It takes time to write something succinctly at 5 minutes. But I think Marilda deserves it because, again, we are going to be dealing with Marilda for the through season 5 of this show and into the Regency era of the next show, when her son Alan becomes Admiral of the Fleets and is a major character, and his mother is still alive, and they're having scenes together. So, like, a full 6 to 7 TV seasons into the future, 10 to 12 years from now, we will be dealing with Martina Laird recurring as, "Hi, I'm Marilda of Hull." So I think it merits this long of an introduction. What do you guys think? I'm just trying to parse out all the rumors we had out of the week of Caceres filming we just had. And it kind of seems to be all the arrows pointing in the same direction of what are they doing with this. Except, of course, for where is Adam, her older son?